Drive Energy live on a Wednesday hump day. We've got Emmy-winning sportscaster, Blue Tees ambassador, awesome all-around dude, the most energy of anybody I've ever met in my life, Nick Gismondi. Gizmo.
Gizmo.
The best nickname in the world. So we met at Hangar Club.
Yep.
I want to shout out the Hangar Club. Awesome spot. They're doing buy one, get one free hours. Kentucky Derby this weekend, Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Great specials. They've got people rolling around all the time when we play our league, which we are the champions. Did you know that?
I did know that. Congratulations officially, by the way.
He brought the
It's a
trophy.
big thing.
He brought the trophy home. I was like, do not flash that in my face. Like,
When these guys play in that league, they're all business.
Oh,
like,
I know.
They're fun in games and they have a good time. Don't get me wrong, but like this guy and RK and Riskin just like lock in, and I was like, wow, okay, well we're gaming right now.
I stepped in a few
serious.
times and I just got shit faced. I did not fit in with their situation. I'm not quite the grinder.
I just hate to lose. That's what I hate. But yeah, we met at the league. It was a great. So when you introduced yourself as Gizmo, I was like, that nickname fits because you're just like fucking go. I was like, this guy. But then I realized, so obviously it came from your last name originally, but how long have you been called that? Has it been like a life thing?
Yeah, since I was a kid. So I was a hockey player growing up, and hockey players are all about the nicknames, as you know. So
Best nicknames in the fucking world.
You have to have a nickname constantly all the time. So for me, Gismondi, Nick, middle name wasn't so great. So they basically just chopped the Mondi off and it's Gizmo.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
It's
I love it.
An outstanding nickname. Like we mentioned, so you are now a Blue Tees ambassador. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Blue Tees because they're kind of changing the game in terms of like everybody pretty much has a speaker now or some sort of GPS device if you're playing, semi-serious golf or just even having fun on the weekends. Pretty much everybody's got one. And they changed the game from the aspect of they were getting into a kind of a tough market, like a Bushnell market, but they've made it affordable and their product is awesome. So let's talk a little bit about that.
The affordability is the big thing, but I don't associate with a lot of companies just because I think for me, I want to be with cool people who are doing cool things and it's all about believing in it. And I had an opportunity to link up with these guys and every single one of the guys in the company is just a really good human. They've been friends since college, so they came up with this and sort of developed it, and they're all hands on deck the entire time. So for me, the first thing was they're just cool dudes. Like I like hanging out with good people. Like you said, we kind of find each other. When you find good people, awesome. And then on top of it, the product's awesome. So for me, I like being able to have stuff that's functional, but also good looking. And really the Blue Tees line kind of does all of that. They got a lot of different products. They're not in the soft good stuff. They're obviously big ticket item is the speaker. This thing is incredibly cool.
It looks great, by the way. It looks super clean.
I mean, super clean for sure. Yeah, I can move that a little tighter. Super clean for sure. I think the biggest thing is the touch screen on here. And we picked up City Park Golf Course, which is unbelievable, by the way. But it ties in with the app. So you're always going to get a front, center, and you're going to get a back. It's going to give you your driving distance. You can keep your score on here. It's going to tell you where hazards are at. So you'll know, what the distance to the front of the hazard is, what the distance to carry the hazard is.
That thing is next level.
And again, you can keep your score in there the entire time. And then obviously, it's got the music player aspect of it. So it's got that cool, deep, radical bass. I mean, I love the speaker. It's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that it sticks to the golf cart, like, you can't ask for much more than that. And especially nowadays, everybody's playing music on the golf course. So you can't go out there without a speaker.
And it's got that magnet that you're talking about. Basically all of their products now, that's the staple, right? So, and I think the versatility for me is cool because this is going to stick to the car real solid. But let's say you're walking. Okay, well, you still want your music. Well, they basically have the exact same speaker without the touchscreen in the front, but you're going to be able to basically do the exact same thing. And this has got the magnet on it as well. So it's going to, boom, no problem. It's going to stick to your golf bag.
That is so sick. I love that. Everything looks really good too. I love the navy blue, like just very sleek. Overall, I need to get my hands on one of these.
And they have started doing it in black too. So you've got the blue, which is obviously the classic, but it also comes in black. And again, for the walker as well, they've got a little mini version called the Ringer here, and it's going to do everything basically that the speaker does, including give you all of the front, middle, back, dynamic green view. You can keep your score. You can track your shots. It's all right there.
Hell yeah, that's unreal.
Did they mention at all like where the Blue Tees name came from?
So it was ideally marketed towards that everyday golfer, and the everyday golfer is playing from the Blue Tees.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to necessarily come in and do something where, oh my gosh, we've got to appeal to the top golfer. Well, because they came in so naturally and organically, now it does appeal to every single golfer, because every single one of their products will help you be a better golfer. I mean, I have improved massively just because I was that guy that had the rangefinder all the time, and I would shoot the pin and I would try to hit that number. So that's a tough way to play golf, because I'm always missing greens, or I'm overshooting, or I'm something like that. So now that I've kind of gotten more like this front, middle, back mentality,
Yeah.
It's changed my game a bit. But
Totally. I mean, getting numbers besides the flag, like how often do you need the actual,
correct.
I mean, the number to the flag is nice, but having your numbers to hazard, it's almost like your own little personal caddy.
Yeah.
Like giving you numbers everywhere.
And all of these things, the speaker for sure, and the ringer, they all tie into their app, and their app is incredible because you can keep your score in there as well. It's got a built-in game. So like if all three of us had the speaker, had the app, we basically could have a little mini contest on the golf course.
That's
so
sick.
You could watch each other's scores, see the leaderboard. Speaker has a really cool thing too called party mode. So you can pair 3 of these together. So if we had 3 different golf carts and 3 different player plus speakers,
Holy shit.
you link them all together and everybody's listening to the same music. Or if you're in the cart together, you basically get stereo. So it is incredible. The app is incredible. You can track your shot distances and things like that in there too, and it will actually suggest the clubs you want to use.
Wow. That is impressive.
Truly a cool product.
I really did not know that much about it, but the more I know, the better it sounds.
Yeah.
That's badass.
And just to lastly touch on the rangefinder, they improved this massively. This is the 3 Max Plus, and it's got the magnet on it as well, so it's gonna have no problem. This isn't really metal, but it's gonna have no problem sticking. And then the other cool thing that they've done here is they've got 2 different modes and 2 different color settings. So you can change the color of the digital output to red,
okay,
or to black, depending on the lighting condition. And then it's also got this mode button on the top. So you can put it in golf mode where you can just seek a pin and it's going to give you your slope and everything like that. But you can also toggle it to what they're calling, just general mode. And basically if you switch it to the scan mode, hold down the power button, it will scan and give you distances as you cross things. So trees or bunker or whatnot. So you have the option for the hard distance, but you can also toggle it to, give yourself some numbers for other areas on the golf course.
That thing does way more than my Bushnell does, for sure.
And listen, it's all waterproof. It's going to do all of those things and more. And it's for me, it's a more affordable product. It does more. I think it's cleaner. The battery life on these are incredible.
The day we played, you forgot your charger, didn't have it charged, and it made it through the whole round. No problem.
Yep.
That's impressive. Yep. That is very impressive.
Yep.
I love
it. It's a great product. I mean, and I love the guys behind it, and they're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff. I'm excited to do a ton of cool stuff with them, and it's going to be fun.
Hell yeah.
Company.
Well, yeah, they're definitely becoming they're a name, like even if you haven't heard of Blue Tees, like Blue Tees is becoming one of those names that it's with the Bushnells and these things like, okay, I need this kind of distance product
at this point.
Yeah, it's getting to that level, which is great. So party mode sounds like my kind of vibe where there's all the carts going. What is your go-to music on the golf course? Do you have a certain vibe?
Ooh, I'm a country guy. And I'm probably gonna get made fun of this, but I've been jamming some Fleetwood Mac radio lately on Pandora. It's kind of been a jam for me. But yeah, it's either country, Fleetwood Mac, and then I actually just got into this new. It's called. Have you guys ever heard a song called "Edge of the Ocean" by Stick Figure?
No.
Oh, it's just vibey and jammy. And
I need to write that down.
I was kind of grooving to it the other day.
Dude, that's when golf-wise, like I have various types of music that I listen to for certain situations, but golf-wise to me, I love just like the kind of chill, like country is a great golf genre for me, but like have you heard of 21 Pilots?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 21 Pilots is like that kind of vibe where it's like not necessarily an upbeat song. Like I'm not trying to hype myself up, but it just keeps the vibe and keeps it chill.
Yeah, this is like I actually was listening to it on the way in too. I will show you the speaker here. Might as well.
Yeah, let's play it.
It's a little reggae, a little vibey.
Oh yeah.
Give it a sec. Get that deep radical bass.
Yeah.
Marissa's feeling this. Let's go. See?
Oh yeah, this is good shit.
Oh yeah, it's like a Bob Marley kind of thing.
Just a little mellow when you're golfing, right? Get you in the zone.
It is truly crazy too. Like different musical vibes get you in different like modes. Like this is the kind of relaxing shit you need on the golf course.
This is me over the ball.
Yeah.
It's like tempo. Feel the flow. Do the happy dance, boys.
100%.
So vibey.
Hell yeah, I love that song. Well, let's get a little background from you.
Yeah, real quick though. So we love the chill vibes on the golf course with the music. We also love the chill vibes on the golf course with Coors Light, by far the best drinking beer on the golf course. They have the twist off cans. I think one of the most interesting things is when we were playing with Gizmo at Cherry Creek, he goes, "We don't have bev cart people, we have airdrops." And we're like, "What are you talking about?" And he just called phone. 20 minutes later, somebody's out there, full thing of Coors Lights for us.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
You call the boys. Call the boys in the men's grill. You got Zach and Andrew and Aiden, and you're just like, "Yo, I need a bag of Coors," and they're like, "Boom."
And they're like, "Where are you at?" 12T. And then they just come up to 12 green. They got the bag of Coors Light right there
so
for
sick.
you. If you need a moment to chill, like on the golf course, Coors Light is the beer for you. You can get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. The other thing that goes directly with golf and beer is gambling. I'm a big gambler, and we do all of our betting through Bet365. You want to use the code ALLCITY in all caps at sign up, and you get to choose between two different offers of betting $5 and getting $150 in bonus bets, or a free bet safety net of up to $1,000, meaning you can place a bet up to $1,000. If it doesn't hit, you get that $1,000 back in bonus bets, and you're able to kind of reset the sheet. If you hit the first bet, you doubled your money, you're good to go. They have NHL early payout offers, so if you have a straight bet on the Avalanche and they get a 3-goal lead, it pays out early. It pays out immediately, whether they give up that 3-goal lead in the third period or not. So download the Bet365 app, use that code ALLCITY when you sign up, and you're going to get two different offers. Golf-wise, the each-way bets, as we talk about every single week, you get 1 unit on them winning, 1 unit on them placing in the top 12 or 8, whatever you decide. That's what we do all of our betting with. Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-GAMBLER will not give you picks. It's a helpline. So
what was that number again for a friend?
1-800-GAMBLER.
1-800-GAMBLER.
Spencer sent me this tweet the other morning that was like, he's like, this hotline doesn't give you picks. What a waste of an hour of my life. I was like, holy shit, that is so good.
Yeah. We've also got a new sponsor alert.
Let's
We're going to tell you guys about Shady Rays. Shady Ray. I wear Shady Rays every pod, and I've been doing this. They saw me. They had to have our pod.
Yeah.
We're just going to go with that story. But you can use the code AC35 at checkout at Shady Rays, and you're getting 35% off their glasses. They're an independent sunglass company that offers world-class products rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have durable frames, crystal clear optics, and they're perfect for playing golf. They just released the golf line. It's called the Green Wolf. So we got some Green Wolves coming. They're polarized, so they help you see the greens better with those glasses. The only thing with polarized is I'm on my phone a lot, and it makes it hard for me to look at my phone. And but maybe that's a sign I should get off my phone.
It sounds like a good thing. It sounds like they're helping you on and off the golf course.
He needs to unplug a little bit.
I need to unplug a bit, and I can do that with my Green Wolf golf glasses from Shady Rays. Exclusively for all of our listeners, they're giving you the best deal of this season. Get yourself some golf sunglasses by heading to shadyrays.com and use the code AC35 for 35% off all polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right.
If they make that mug look good, just imagine what they'll do for your face.
Yeah, I might like
Right?
after wearing like I
You
don't.
guys are handsome guys.
I'm not like a shades inside guy, but
Well, clearly you are.
well, no. But here's the thing: is like
Hockey player.
whenever I see myself on the camera without the shades now, I'm like I look like I'm fucking half asleep.
You look like an NBA dude doing a post game interview.
Yeah, I'm like, why?
You look
are
like
my
Anthony Davis.
Why are my eyes so wide?
You should
and-
just also avoid making eye contact, even though you have the shady rays on. Like, go ultra cocky with the press conference.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
And
just
then,
talking up here.
Yeah.
Talking down there.
Check your phone. Ignore the question.
Yeah, and walk off whenever.
He's
I feel
good
like
at
it.
not
Love that.
listening to
Love
what
that.
people are saying, specifically me. So, well, Gizmo, let's get into
Yeah.
a little bit of your background. Give us you're in the hockey industry, in the television hockey industry.
Yeah.
But tell us how you got there, and also when did you start golf? Like, when did you realize golf was something you loved?
Yeah, I think the cool tie-in is that pretty much anybody that plays hockey plays golf.
Yeah.
And I've got a real fun story. One of my very best friends is the captain of the Los Angeles Kings, Anze Kopitar. And when he got to LA, he wanted to pick up golf because everybody else on the team was playing golf, but he was awful at it. Like, he was terrible. Like, it was really bad. Like, he was shooting in the hundreds. And he figured it out in literally like 3 months. He went from like not like looking like a baby giraffe on ice to being a scratch golfer. And it's just because it translates so well.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing hockey. Fortunately, I got hurt my beginning of my junior career, and my high school had a radio station. So I got into commentating the team that I was going to play for his games on my high school radio station. And 29 years later, I'm still doing it. And golf kind of just went hand in hand with it. I was golfing at the same time I was playing hockey, and they just translate so well to each other. The movement is just so similar.
100%.
I do get a little quick sometimes, and that causes some issues on the golf course. But we figured it out yesterday, so we're dialed in now. We're dialed in.
Love that. Yeah. So you won an Emmy in 2019.
I did.
Talk
yeah.
a little bit about that. Was that when you were with the Blackhawks?
We had an incredible broadcast team. I mean, I was blessed and very, very lucky to be a part of it. It's one of those things where you find yourself in the right place with the right people, and I just loved it. It was Pat Foley, and it was Eddie Olczyk, and it was the Chicago Blackhawks, and we had a legendary producer. Our producer Mitch was just great. He was a former hockey knight in Canada, and the vibe between all of us was just so good. I mean, it felt like it's probably one of my favorite broadcast teams to work for. My first job in the NHL was with the Vegas Golden Knights, and my broadcast partner was Brad May and Ali Lozoff. And we had a really, really, really incredible show too. But there was just something about being with an original six team and being with Eddie Olczyk and Pat Foley. I mean, Pat Foley's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Eddie Olczyk will go into the Broadcast Hall of Fame. So just to have a chance to work with those guys, it just felt natural. It felt like we were having a conversation about hockey. And I think that's what led to it. I mean, it's a team effort.
And it's probably kind of similar to like a locker room vibe in hockey. Like, the group of people you're working with, you want the room to be good. You want everybody to vibe and enjoy each other, and it probably just makes that job so much easier.
I'm a very sensitive, very emotional person by nature, and I think one of the things that I love about hockey that if you've been around hockey, you get is that those guys. Everybody says, "Oh, it's a family," or "Oh, when it's hockey, it really is." I mean, it's a brotherhood. I mean, if you're a hockey guy, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because when you're in that space and you're feeling that love, I mean, there are guys that I know that I played with and guys that are now in the NHL, like, could be in the worst trouble of my life, and I could pick the phone up and they'll come running.
Yeah,
and
that's huge.
I'm a big, big, big family guy, and I think anytime you can generate that energy and that care and compassion, it comes through. And I think that's what happened in 2019.
Yeah, I think Mitchell and I are obviously, we never played hockey, and I think that's not our biggest regret, because when you kind of got to get into hockey, your parents have to kind of get you into it when you're a little kid. But being around, hockey in general, like meeting Eric Lacroix, who now works for us, like I've never felt like a guy was like you said, family.
Right.
It's like just bros type of bro.
We played 2 hours at Hanger Club, went and played golf, and like now I feel like I can text you anytime. And
100%.
that's I feel like that's all hockey. And
100%.
I'm going to try to get my kid into hockey, because the vibes around it, the nicknames, all the great nicknames, all the great chirping. Like hockey players are the most, of the big four, the most normal professional athletes. They just hang out. We were at Thirsty Lion one day, and it was like Gabe Landeskog and who's the dude we traded to the Sharks? Really good friend of his.
Yes,
and they're just sitting there having lunch. Like nobody really kind of recognized them. We went up and said hi as we were leaving, but they're just so normal versus like you see these other interviews where it's like, everything is they're just such divas. And in hockey, you rarely ever get that. And
it's a we. It's always a we. It's never an I.
100%.
It's never a me. Anytime you hear a hockey guy talk about anything, it's we. We did it. Team effort.
Yeah.
And that's just built into the culture of it. And the cool thing about getting your kids into it, it's something that'll stick with them forever. I mean, there are a million different things that you can do in the hockey business.
Yeah. And like one of my favorite parts too is how tough all those motherfuckers are. They're like broken jaw, will miss 2 games. It's like shit like that is insane.
Well, like Devon Taves the other night gets hit right in the fucking beak, and then he's back in the game a period later. Like an NBA player would miss a month.
Yes.
And that's it. There's no, like you said, it's a we thing, but it's all camaraderie. It's all playing for the logo on the front, not the name on the back. That's kind of one of the corny things they say.
That's a great thing. I just heard it the other day.
Yeah, dude. And that's what those hockey players do. And growing up, I really got into golf like early in high school, but so I didn't play any. I mean, we had a golf team.
Yeah.
But you're kind of, it's not as much team oriented as, hockey. And so I feel like I kind of missed out on that where like my buddies that played hockey, they're still friends with the kids they grew up playing hockey with.
Yeah. I mean, I owe the game of hockey literally everything. I mean, all of the things, career, friends, family, it all traces back to just getting put on the ice when I was a kid and fell in love with it and just, ran with it. But the people that I've met, some of the greatest people in the world, including Eric Lacroix, who's one of my closest friends, and had the opportunity to coach his son, Max, Max unequivocally might be the greatest human being I have ever met.
That's awesome.
In the world. He is the kindest, most talented, sweetest person that ever has existed. So if you all ever have a chance to meet Max, meet Max.
Well, current goalie at BU?
Yeah.
Backup goalie at BU, right?
Yeah.
Well, and when you talk to his dad, you see, where he gets it from. Right. He's just like, I've known his dad for a couple months, and every time he sees me, like, I just know he's like one of the boys. Like, I'm like, dude, let's bro down. Like, I want to go drink it with that guy.
Hockey player.
Yeah.
Hockey player.
100%.
Through and through.
Yeah. So we, a couple podcasts ago, we made some predictions, hockey predictions. Okay. So we want to get your expert take on our predictions and just how you see the playoffs playing out right now. So if you're listening to this live, obviously join our youtube.com, Big Drive Energy Golf. But if you're listening to this later on, this is Wednesday, the 1st of May. So we're kind of through the first round. Avs are through the first round. But I have Bruins, Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals. I have Jets, Golden Knights in the Western Conference Finals. And I have Vegas and Carolina in the finals with the Canes winning the cup. Mitchell's got Panthers, Canes, Stars, Oilers, Stars, Canes, and Stars winning the cup.
Ooh, so Pete DeBoer, the head coach of the Dallas Stars, has been the bridesmaid so many times, and he was one of my first bosses back coaching the Plymouth Whalers in the Ontario Hockey League when I first broke into radio, as I was telling you guys earlier. So I love Pete, and his best friend is his assistant coach everywhere he goes, Steve Spott. So I very much would love for those guys to finally get their names on the cup and see Dallas do it. However, my other very close friend is Justin Williams, and he's with the Carolina Hurricanes organization. So I like that pick quite a bit. I picked Carolina to win the cup. I think they're a vibe for sure.
Yeah, they've always felt like they're one superstar away, and it felt like they kind of got that at the deadline and they've always had great goaltending.
Yeah.
And like we talked about before the show, goaltending is just massive in the playoffs. But somehow now, I mean, obviously I have the Avs shirt on. I had to wear it. We were talking hockey today, so I had to wear it. What do you think the Avs odds are now after seeing what we saw against Winnipeg these first 5 games? because they look like a wagon now.
They do look like a wagon, and sometimes that's all you need. You need to peak at the right time and just get a little bit of that momentum going. After the first game, I had my doubts. I did.
Oh, 100%. I was all out.
I was
I
fucking
wanted
planning,
Georgiev on a one-way ticket back to Denver out of Winnipeg.
I've been very vocal publicly about I don't think the goaltending is where it needs to be. I thought that at the trade deadline, and I said this, as you guys know, I'm on NHL Network right now. I said on NHL Network, that I think, they needed to address goaltending at the trade deadline. They didn't. What happened in game one happened, but they're just so overwhelming with Avs transition so good through the neutral zone. They've got so many offensive weapons, and then they're so stout on the blue line, but also offensive on the blue line. So, if you can really get in there and start to generate some offense and overcome some things, it takes the pressure off of them goaltending wise. And I think over the last few games, that's what we've seen, right? They get up and they score a bunch of goals, and all of a sudden you can see them just relax. It's like they exhale because they know they don't have to be so worried about what's happening inside of their own zone. They can just play freely. And when the Avs are playing freely, that's when you're getting that good offense, and that's when you're getting that creativeness from the likes of Makar to do the things that he's doing.
Yeah, and I didn't think the Jets, I picked them, and I more spite pick of how I felt at the moment about the Avs' current play a couple weeks ago. But can the Avs win a cup playing the way they played in the first round? Were they, because we see, I'll admit I'm still a novice hockey watcher. I watch the game, I kind of understand what's going on, but hockey to me is tough, being not growing up playing it, where I can't really tell. You watching a hockey game, you can be oh, the Avs are up 2-0, but Winnipeg's been dominating, or vice versa. I can't really see that. I see the score and I take it kind of for what it's worth at that point. I'm getting better, but can the Avs win a cup the way they're playing right now? In terms of defensively, they've been better, but you're not going to score 5 to 6 goals a night. I know Hellebuck's going to win the Vezina most likely, and they did it against him, so they should be able to do it against anyone. But I feel that can't just carry over where you're winning 5-3 or 6-3 every night.
The only way that they will win the cup, based on what I think their situation is between the pipes, is to find overwhelming offense and you can't have a game. You can't have a game like you had in game one. I mean, those are detrimental, and if you get a game like that at the wrong time, you're in a lot of trouble. So I don't know if they can pull it off. I would love to see them pull it off. It's always fun when you're in a city and your team wins the championship. However, I'd like to see what happens in this first game of the next round. They're going to have a little bit of a break here. They're going to catch their breath. They're going to
hopefully the Stars and Knights beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Get Jonathan Drouin back.
Exactly. And then see what happens. But, listen, if they play the way they played over the last 4 games, yeah,
it's tough to see anybody beating them if they played the way they played the last 4 games.
I would agree.
Speaking of the Knights, I want to get a quick take from you on what you think of the whole LTIR Mark Stone situation. It makes sense, but it pisses you off when your team doesn't do it, because we could have done it with Landeskog and we really didn't, a couple years ago and last year, whatever. But it infuriates people. People were so pissed to hear him come back completely healthy game one.
I think that it isn't illegal, but I think that it needs to be looked at and addressed, because I agree. I think from an integrity standpoint, it's cheap.
Yeah,
it's cheap. I think it's a cheap move. I think they've done it twice now in a row with it's
becoming a trend at this point.
I mean, come on. I think it will be addressed in the offseason. I do. I think it has to be, because I just don't think it's one of the cool things about hockey is that it's such like golf. It's such an integrity sport.
Yeah.
Right.
Polices itself kind of thing.
You'd think, you'd hope.
Right.
And right now it isn't really doing that. And that's got to change, because I would hate to see that sort of thing happen on a wider scale. And now you're just sitting out big star, high ticket players until the playoffs, just so you can add just up the cap then at that point.
Yeah.
That's basically what Vegas is doing. They're basically playing on a $95 million cap.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So speaking of the Knights, but kind of going back to your broadcasting career. So you worked for the Knights and the Kraken.
Yeah.
What was it like to work for, so you literally have both ends of the spectrum. You have an original 6 in the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Chicago, we have, offices in Chicago. great fan base,
Unreal.
diehard fan base.
Unreal.
And then you go to you work for 2 different teams that are literally starting from the ground up in 2 markets that have never had hockey. What was that like? What was the contrast of those like? And what was it like to be part of a expansion team? That's the word I'm looking for.
Very different experiences. The cool thing about Vegas is that it was also my first. I worked for NBC Sports Network for 13, 14 years. So even though I had covered hockey my whole career, I'd never worked specifically for an NHL team.
Oh, okay.
In a full capacity. So the Vegas Golden Knights were my first foray into that, and it was incredible. I mean, it was incredible. That fan base, to this day, I will say, Chicago was massive and loving, but the fan base in Vegas, I've been on TV for 29 years. I have gotten recognized up until doing the Vegas Golden Knights maybe one time.
Yeah.
I'd done it for about 22 years at that point. Not a single person had ever come up to me like, "Oh, hey, saw you in the Olympics." Like, okay. I to this day cannot walk around in Vegas.
That's awesome.
Like, you can't. They anything that was anything affiliated with that team, whether you were a trainer or an usher or a broadcaster or a player, they are infatuated with that team and they love that team. So that was incredible for me. I mean, literally everywhere we went, there was a logo or a hat for sale or Go Knights Go, or somebody was always wearing it. And and that arena was full to the brim every single game, and it has existed in that capacity since. So they loved it. Seattle was different. I don't know how to explain that one. The fan base was there and it was good, but there was just some weird moments with that fan base, and I'm sure it's gotten exponentially better. They made the playoffs last year, obviously.
Beat us in the first round.
Yeah. But I was sitting in a sports bar my first year there, and I had a Seattle Kraken hat on. I'm a big, like I said, team family logo guy. So if I'm in your family, I'm rocking the logo.
100%.
And I was sitting at a bar and I was watching a replay of the game, and the bartender comes up to me and goes, "Hey, nice hat." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." He goes, Is that that hockey team we got?" And I was like, "Yeah." Yeah. He goes,
my God.
Sick. He goes, "What league is that?" I go, "Oh, it's the NHL." I go, "Yeah, we got jerseys and everything." So it was just a different a different perspective. But I think that the fan base kind of, now I'm sure they've gotten it, but Vegas was just wanted a hockey team, wanted any sports team so badly.
Yeah, I went to a Vegas Golden Knights game their first season, an Avs game in Vegas, and I remember thinking 2 things. First of all, we were at the tables, and somebody was like, "Yeah, they found a free ATM," because they were winning every game. They were like, "They found a free ATM in Vegas, and it's called the Golden Knights." Just betting on them.
Yeah.
And then I went to the game, and the Avs I think lost 2-1, and just with the crowd and how it was, the atmosphere in there, I was like, "How does a team win here?" And not to mention they're spending the night in Vegas.
I was going to say
the
they
game.
got the Vegas flu that night.
Oh, yeah.
They're hammered at the tables or wherever at Hakkasan the night beforehand.
They
It's
would actually
insane.
stay at the one hotel in Vegas that didn't have a casino, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. It might have been the Mandarin, but it was the Mandarin. Yeah, they would stay at the Mandarin because there was no casino in there. Now, obviously, they could walk to the casino, but they they were encouraged not to. And by the way, the best thing that came from the Vegas Golden Knights was meeting the very handsome gentleman that just walked in behind the camera, Mr. Eric Lacroix.
Your ears must be burning.
We talked about
just
earlier
talking
at
about
length.
you. All great things.
Love you. See you in a minute.
That's dude. So yeah,
that's hockey. I would need to make an appearance.
I love that.
That's hockey. So.
Speaking of expansion teams, Atlanta didn't really work. A few other places. Where do you think a city is that you could see the NHL going next? That would really stick. Like, is there a market right now that's like jonesing for hockey?
Well, this is very interesting. What happened with the Coyotes?
Yeah,
that shocked me. The way they did it shocked me. It seemed like that arena deal was going to get done, and then it wasn't done, and then they're moving to Utah, but the history of the team is staying in Arizona, and he's got 5 years. So the NHL wants to be in Arizona. That they're gonna figure that out in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So they'll go back to Arizona.
Feels like Bettman's hill to die on, kind of. He's done everything
He's
in his power to
pot committed.
Yeah, he's all in on Arizona.
So I don't think he's going. I think they'll find a way back to Arizona, and then that'll balance the league out again. And then, yeah, I mean, I've heard the Atlanta rumors. It didn't work.
Yeah,
like at all. But yeah, maybe go back east a little bit.
I've heard Houston, and I don't know how well that would go. I mean, they're the largest metro area, I think, in America without a hockey team. But it's just so, like, in my opinion, and maybe I'm a little old school in the way of, like, I find it weird to picture a hockey team playing in a warm weather climate. Like, it's weird to me. Like, you take the Stars, the Florida Panthers, the Lightning, and obviously they've all had a lot of success. Like the Vegas Golden Knights, you got the Kings out in California. The Ducks have not had much success recently, but it's just, I picture hockey at like middle America and above that. You know what I mean?
I went to the outdoor game, and it was such a trip. It was a Stadium Series game, and it was the Los Angeles Kings playing the Anaheim Ducks in Dodger Stadium, and it was 75 degrees outside, and I was like, wow.
How do they even keep the ice going?
Those guys are geniuses, by the way. I don't know how they did that. They had that rink positioned in there so that when the game started, the entire time the arena was in the shade.
Okay.
So, and then they've got the ice temps figured out. I mean, absolute brilliance. It's incredible. Whoever that guy is deserves a Nobel Prize.
Yeah,
no shit.
Because I remember I was in Vegas again watching the Avs. That was when they had the Tahoe game.
Yeah,
and
the ice was melting.
Melt the ice, and they had to stop the game. We had our Avs bet tickets, and we had to go back to the casino like 9 hours later and finish off. It was
yeah. I don't know what happened in that one. That one was a weird one. And I think I don't remember what the backstory was on that. I think the atmosphere was like just the conditions with the lake and the mountains, and it just threw it off a little bit. Threw the math problem off on how they figure out how to keep the ice.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize the sun's closer to you and you're at higher elevation. And
true,
so
that's also true.
The sun does hit a little bit harder when you're at 8,000 feet instead of...
I am not good at math. So there's no, I mean, whatever. I still count on my fingers sometimes because that's just not my thing.
Oh, I totally get it. Well, so let's tie it in a little bit with golf now. This is a golf podcast, quote unquote.
We have to say that middle of every episode
right.
when we're going off on something
I get
else.
it. That's all right.
That's a golf podcast.
Golf stuff.
We eventually will talk about golf.
Yeah.
So let's do some player comps, PGA Tour to NHL. And they could be current. I mean, there's some low hanging fruit ones like Gretzky and, Tiger probably, or, I guess here's a question. Would you compare Gretzky more to Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods?
Ooh.
And who is your golf GOAT? Is it Tiger? Is it Jack or other?
Yeah, it's Tiger.
Okay.
I'm such a Tiger fan. I'm a Tiger fan for golf GOAT. I think Gretzky is Tiger.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think Gretzky's Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of revolutionizing their sport.
Yeah, just turned it on its head. I mean, made it about everything. I mean, God, I love Scotty Scheffler right now, though. How can you not like him? But Tiger and Gretzky are kind of the guys. It's like Tiger, Gretzky, Jordan, Brady.
Right.
That's like the Mount Rushmore of American sports right there. I think that's pretty close to it.
I feel like those guys are big deal guys.
Well, so I had a few. Spencer, did you come up with any comparisons, and we can get his opinion on these?
Yeah, well, so I was actually gonna you give your comparisons, but since he's so knowledgeable about NHL and all the players, I was gonna give him a few golfers with some attributes, and then have him tie those into an NHL player.
I like that.
So did you compare Rory or?
I did not have. Oh, I had Rory and McDavid in the way of they're very good, and they're basically held as the face of each grand organization, and they have yet to really win. And obviously golf and hockey are not potato, like, because it is a team sport versus individual, but you got to think that McDavid's eventually got to get one in order to be held in that. He'll be the greatest player to probably never win a cup, but at the end of the day, to be in that conversation, you got to win a cup.
Ooh, Great. I think that's a perfect comparison. You got McDavid trying to win a cup, Rory trying to win a Masters.
Yeah.
It's a buy for me 100%.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
And faces of, like, McDavid's face of the NHL.
Yeah.
Clearly Rory is, I mean, Tiger's Tiger, but Rory's the out front guy for the PGA.
100%.
Yeah, all right, that's perfect. I wouldn't change that. That's good.
Yeah, Rory gives me, it's not as much anymore because his reign is kind of over, but Rory gives me a little bit of like Sidney Crosby vibes where he's had a bunch of wins, but now he's kind of on, and Sidney's not pushed as much as he used to be by the NHL in general because there's a bunch of new stars, but I feel like 3-4 years ago, it's like, okay, Sidney Crosby's still one of the best players. They had all their wins, but now where does his career go from here? Does he have to, in golf, you can't really find someone else, although ironically, Rory won the team event last weekend in the PGA Tour, but in the hockey aspect, it's like, does Sidney Crosby come play with Nate? Does he go find another team? So I kind of had that comparison. But one I think you might know or have an idea of is we talked about hockey players and chirping, and they're all good at it. But I want you to give me the Tyrrell Hatton of the NHL, basically the guy that's just probably like the funniest chirper from being around the ice, being like, and it could be from one of the teams you covered or an opponent. But and I know it's like a plus compared to like a lot of A's. Like there's just so much good chirping. But I want to know one of those players that's just like, if he's mic'd up, it's the most hilarious thing you've ever heard.
Ryan Reeves.
Revo?
Yeah.
Okay.
No question. That guy was with him in Vegas for the Knights, and that guy could, I mean, boy, oh boy, some of the things that he would say to guys. I mean,
he could talk shit to anybody.
Even I was just like, whoa, whoa, bro.
Well, I've heard there's like a line with shit talking in the NHL, and I've heard some dudes step over that line. Is he a dude that would he stop at nothing?
No, I don't think he ever. Yeah, the wives and moms are off limits.
That's what I was going to say. That's
girlfriends are off limits.
Okay,
so you can get away with just about anything.
Okay,
you'll have to bring on one of these days. I'll hook him up with you. Former NHL referee, ESPN rules analyst, Dave Jackson.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
And Dave's doing a great job on TV with ESPN, but he was a legendary ref, and he's got a very quick wit. He's a very good golfer too, by the way.
Let's get him out on the course.
We were having a good conversation, and he's famous for dinging Bob Hartley. This is an Avs kind of centric story. Gave Bob an unsportsmanlike conduct, and kicked him out. And Sakic went up to Dave Jackson on the ice. And Joe goes, "What did he say to you?" And Jackson looks at Sakic and goes, "He called me a stupid cocksucker." And Dave looked at him and he said, "Hey, I'm a lot of things, but I am not stupid."
Holy
that's
shit!
That's the kind of stuff that happens on the ice.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, I got another one. And going back to the shit talking, Tyrrell Hatton. The first guy that popped into my mind was Brad Marchand.
Oh yeah, well he can chirp. He's also just mean. He's just mean.
He's just
fucking
a rat. Yeah, rat fuck. Okay, I have another one. How about Phil Mickelson and Alex Ovechkin? More of like if they weren't playing in the era with Tiger and Sid, they'd be considered for an alt. And I mean, Ovi's probably going to break the all-time scoring record next year, which puts him in, obviously different company. But I just see kind of like second best of their generation is where I made that comparison.
Yeah, I like that. Ovi. I feel like Ovi's it's a hard thing to say. I feel like Mickelson. I feel like Mickelson shot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
I feel like Mickelson shot himself in the foot with the way that he did the whole live thing. I feel like Ovechkin is solidifying himself as a really big deal.
Totally.
So it'd be interesting to see. But I like that comparison.
Yeah, I mean, it was more just from an on ice accomplishment standpoint where they would be widely considered the best in the game if it wasn't for Tiger and Sid. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I think Ovechkin has taken a little bit of a backseat. Definitely helped him when he got the cup, though.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that was. I was happy for like the guys like Sid, Ovechkin. Like Sid won a few, but
McDavid's I will be
like,
happy for him when he wins one.
Exactly.
Everybody will Yeah, I think the league wants. Yeah.
The league definitely wants Edmonton to win a cup.
Sure. I checked the odds in the Western Conference today. Edmonton's got the best odds to win the Western Conference still.
Well, they got a big one tonight. I mean, LA's not going to go quietly, but that's a big hockey game tonight.
Yeah. 100%.
So I've got one for you to compare. So Dustin Johnson, and I'll preface it with maybe one of the most talented players of all time. Maybe not, Paulina Gretzky's husband.
The most engaged.
But maybe not the most engaged. And you don't necessarily have to, I guess you kind of got to call somebody out. But a guy in the NHL could be present, could be, the last 20 years that you felt like when they came up or you, as a junior, as getting into the NHL, you're like, wow, this guy's going to be unreal. And they just never turned into be that talent.
Or I think they were that talent, but they just they weren't as locked in on trying to be the GOAT. Because I honestly think Dustin Johnson had the talent to win, 8 to 10 majors, and it just never came to fruition for him. So maybe a guy that had all the talent in the world and never had the ultimate Nathan McKinnon drive to really push himself to that next level.
That's a hard question.
Spencer put him on the spot.
So an NHL player that never really amounted to what his hype was?
Yeah, basically.
Ooh.
We're going to clip this, by the way.
I'm just kidding. Aaron Ekblad, maybe. Aaron Ekblad. I think he was kind of touted to be somebody really, really huge when he got drafted by Florida. And I think that he just, I'd have to check myself, but I'm pretty sure he was. I think he was one of the first overall picks early in the 90s, and unfortunately, just never really didn't do what everybody thought he was going to do. And that's rare. It only happens sometimes. Alexander Diego actually would be a better one. Alexander Diego was the first overall pick, and he didn't even hardly last in the NHL. So I take that back on Ekblad. I'm going Alexander Diego.
I was going to say I've never even heard that name. Yep. So
he was the first overall pick, and he just
shit.
never really sort of came to be in the league. But I remember vividly because I was a young hockey player at the time, and I was watching him. Had the hype, and everybody wanted his rookie card, and he was on the cover of all the hockey magazines.
Where did he get drafted?
First overall, I believe Florida.
Okay.
And just nothing.
Wow.
And everybody was like, Alexander Diego. But hey, man, it's a hard sport. Any sport is hard. And I think that's the one thing that people have to understand. Holy smokes, even if you're in the conversation.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I have a 16-year-old nephew who's incredibly talented. He's the number one 16-year-old in the state of Colorado as a golfer. And he competed at the U.S. Open qualifier yesterday up in Collindale. And it's you really get a perspective of just how good so many guys are and that you really have to grind. And it's cool to watch him starting to go through the process. And I would love to see him on tour one day. And he certainly has the ability. But I told him, I said, you don't know. I mean, I was on track to have a very, very, very good hockey career. And one injury, one thing, one little twist of fate, and it changes. So,
I mean, for every one story you hear about somebody making it, there's 100 people that
you got to grind.
We're in the same area, and it's there's also a stroke of luck involved to get to that highest level. You got to have everything. You got to work your ass off, but then you kind of got to have stuff fall your way too. So,
100%.
All right, I've got one more. I'm put you on the spot again. This one should be a little easier, maybe. So I'm gonna go Brooks Koepka. From a standpoint of doesn't give a fuck if it doesn't matter, but once the playoffs roll around, that guy is just dominant.
Yep.
And big moments, he rises to the occasion.
Okay. Brooks Koepka and Justin Williams. Clutch. Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7. Brooks has been clutch. I mean, Justin always shows up. I mean, 3 Stanley Cups, a Conn Smythe, most goals ever in Game 7s. Yeah, I think it's a Justin Williams play.
I love that. Yeah, because it's we have it on a smaller scale right now, but and this is a very biased in the moment comment, but guys like Valeri Nichushkin
100%.
And Arturi Lehkonen, they're leading the NHL in goals in the playoffs, and the guys were good players. I mean, Val's had his off-ice issues and injuries and all that kind of stuff, but seeing guys like that come, like I don't even think McKinnon scored in the playoffs yet in the first round, maybe 1 goal.
Yeah, he's definitely not
and they're
top 3.
You got
on the
guys
team.
on the second line, you know, those guys, and that's, like I said, very biased in the moment from an Avs fan comment, but it's so cool to see a Jamal Murray. We're getting that in basketball too right now. Jamal Murray, decent player never made an all-star team in the regular season. Playoff roll around, you're like, this guy's unbelievable.
Yep. And I think I like that comparison game. That's good. Yeah, I think Justin and Koepka, but I didn't even think about Nichushkin. That's kind of a play too.
What's crazy about his career is the dude was fighting to stay in the NHL at one point.
He scored like 3 goals in like 70 some games with the Stars, and then he's a 30-goal guy. Like,
well, and we know it from a base level. You obviously have a higher level of this, but what Joe Sakic and the Avs have done is everybody they get, other teams are immediately like, oh fuck, this guy's gonna be, you know, the Devon Taves, and it's like there was a joke out there that's probably in NHL circles, and it's like, if Sakic calls you, just fucking hang up. He's about to destroy you.
He has done a fantastic job. What a great guy he is too, by the way. Just that's a pure hockey guy. Joe is, you know, as good of a human as he was a hockey player.
That's awesome.
That's what you get for the most part.
And I feel like you hear that about a lot of hockey players, 100%. Which is awesome. So one other golf question. You got to take Cherry Creek out of it because that's your home spot. Yeah. Probably your favorite spot.
Oh, yeah.
What is, other than that, give us your favorite course in the Denver area. Or even you could go to the mountains too. Just Denver.
Yeah, I love Ravenna.
Okay.
Ravenna is a lot of fun to play.
I have not gotten out there yet.
Ravenna is awesome, but if I'm going just, you know, Muni, I love Lone Tree.
Lone Tree's good too.
Playing Lone Tree. South Suburban's actually a ton of fun.
Those greens are insane.
Yeah, I enjoy South Suburban. Gosh, what else do I like? Murphy Creek I like a lot. I always have a good time at Murphy Creek.
It's always windy out there.
And DU's course too, Highlands Ranch.
Okay,
I love that golf course. I feel like that's 2 very different nines. I always enjoy being out there too.
100%. So going back to Lone Tree, the last time I played with Spencer at Lone Tree, he developed the shanks on like the 10th hole. In the next 5 or 6, this was probably like 10 years ago, but he legitimately could not quit hitting it right. And like there's nothing I could do to help him.
Well, the day that we played, the first time we played together, I played great the day before, and then I got out here with him, and I could not hit the golf ball. Like, I could not physically hit the golf, like to the point where I was just laughing at myself and consuming copious amounts of whiskey. But I was like, what is going on? Like, I could not understand it. Like, and I looked at him. I finally was like, dude, you've got to tell me what I'm doing wrong. Like, I hate doing that to guys who are, and he was on a heater. Guy shot like 1 under that day. So I'm like, I really want to like have him look at my shit swing right now and figure it out. But then yesterday, I shot 1 under in Cherry Creek on the front. And I was like, looking at I hit every green. I hit every fairway. I was like, thank God I was with 3 other people because nobody would have believed me. I'm like, yeah, okay, Gizmo, sure you did. But I was, I was like, it's such a funny game, man. It's such a funny game. I have so much respect for golfers because I think it's so hard. There's like a million things that can go wrong in a golf swing. And for the guys that are really good to be able to put it together and do it over the course of a weekend, and it's like, wow, okay, you're good.
Yeah, no, the elite level of golf is truly like another level.
Yeah. The first hole we played together, you hit one a little right off the approach shot, a little right, and Mitchell knows how much of a mental midget I am on the golf course. We obviously, this is our first round together, and you said shank out loud, and I was like, I'm fucked. I'm shooting. He can't even hear the word today.
He would rather hear you demean him, anything, but you can't say that word. Anything is on the table except for that word when you play golf with him. So honestly, I think you asking him for help probably helped him because the gears aren't cranking as much. He's focusing on something else instead of his own golf game, which is generally the best thing for him.
It's like saying shutout in a hockey game when your goalie's pitching a 0.
100%.
We are doing this really cool thing. I don't know if you guys have heard about it yet, but since we're talking hockey and we're talking golf, at the end of August 21 through 24 at Half Moon Bay in San Francisco, there's a new organization called the PAGT, the Professional Athlete Golf Tour. They did it in November for Major League Baseball players, but they're doing it now again for hockey players. And it's going to be to determine who is the best golfer in the NHL.
I love that.
So it's a 3-day tournament at Half Moon Bay. It's treated like a PGA Tour-esque event in
That is
terms
so
of
sick.
the way that it's run. It'll be fun. The guys are going to have a good time too. But we will be out there. NHL Network's going to be broadcasting it.
Oh, wow.
And the only criteria is if you had to have played in the NHL. So current players, former players, coach, doesn't matter. You just have to have been a quote-unquote NHLer. And it's going to be awesome. Grant Fuhr's coming. James Wisniewski's going to be there. There's a whole bunch of big names showing up for this thing.
That is awesome. Well, so that kind of segues me into the next question. Best, and you don't even have to have played with the dude, but in NHL circles, who is the best current NHL player as a golfer?
Well, I'm excited to find out in August.
I know.
And we'll have an actual determination on it
Right.
August 21 in Half Moon Bay. But I would say guys that I know that I have seen. I'm saying the overall, I think Grant Fuhr has a big chance to win this event because Grant is unbelievable. Like he's scratch.
Okay.
So I think Grant Fuhr is unbelievably good. Justin Williams is a really good player.
Do you know if Ryan Whitney's playing in this thing?
I believe Whitney is coming.
Hell yeah.
So Whit is a very good golfer.
Yeah.
Wisniewski's really good. Williams is really good. Kopitar's a player. God, there's so many guys that are just kind of lights out on the golf course.
That's awesome.
It just transfers so well for them.
Well, yeah, and just going back to what we started talking about, I think it transfers well for them. Obviously, their season, when you're in the NHL or in a professional sporting league in general, you're not taking off season, but they have the perfect season to go. Like guys are off June, July, August. Off is a very quotation marks. I've never been a professional athlete, so I can't speak to how much work they do, but they get that time to play golf, and the swing and the motion translates. Like people think baseball players, it translates, and we played baseball as kids, at 12, 13, 14, and then tried to play baseball and golf together. And yeah, there's a general motion, but the translation is nothing like it is in hockey, I would think.
Yeah, the hockey, you've got the hip rotation in hockey, you've got the downswing, you've got the core, you've got the shoulder turn. All of those things are very much similar. The hand-eye coordination with ball and just kind of sort of the mental game. I think hockey players are mentally just really solid dudes. Like, there's not a lot that rattles them.
I was going to say, yeah, they're definitely a lot more mentally tough than some other professional sports, I would say. And I will say too, hockey versus baseball translating to golf. I think the biggest thing for hockey players that they have the leg up on is they have to control the low point of their hockey stick. And that is one of the biggest things in playing golf is controlling your low point and making, especially with the irons, because anybody can hit a driver, it could be a 60, 80 yard slice, but they can at least get it in the air. Yeah. But then you hand somebody an iron to tell them to hit it off the ground. And that's where the hockey players have the huge advantage because they know where their spine needs to be located, their hips, the rotation, in order to make ball first contact, because they've been doing that with the puck for their entire lives.
And super competitive.
Yeah.
Like they don't like losing.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Dialed in on professional athletes. That's what's cool about golf in general. Hockey players, baseball players, whatever that play golf.
Yeah.
The mental side is there for, you have to have the mental side there to get into the upper echelon of the leagues and MLB, NBA, whatever. But golf will still mentally crush those people.
Yeah.
And it's just a game that anybody can play. Yeah. But if you want to play it at a high level, you have to, there's no just fucking around and shooting 64, 65. It's a grind.
I've been doing television for 29 years, and it is a stressful job, as you can imagine. And as you guys know, I mean, you've got a producer talking anywhere. It's live TV, so you've got to be timing. You've got to be on. You've got to, there's a whole lot happening at once. And for me, as a play-by-play guy and a host, you're kind of sort of holding it all together. So mentally, I feel like I'm super tough. But there are times on the golf course, and I'm just like, what? I want to go find a bush, and I want to locate my ball that's probably right in the middle of it, and maybe cuddle up next to a rattlesnake and just end it.
I just want to be done. Yeah.
I'm like, why am I putting myself through this torture? Like I've gotten to a point where I don't get super angry about it when I don't play well. Like, but I definitely just start to laugh at myself, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then there's days like yesterday when I was literally, I don't know the last time I hit every green and every fairway. And I I had 2 eagle putts.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you right now?
Yeah. Well, and then when you get to that feeling, it just like jolts you. You're like, I want to go fucking play.
Oh, I
Like,
want to go to the golf course right now.
Yeah.
Like, all I want to do is go hit another golf ball and make sure I didn't lose it. I'm like, how do I bottle this and not F it up?
Right.
Yeah.
One quick question before we get to our fairway 4. What do you think TNT has done for just the growth of the NHL in these past few years? Because I find myself as somewhat of a casual, but I'm a invested hockey fan, but I would rarely watch intermission reports here and there. But I love tuning into that panel. So what do you think it's done? Because was it with NBC Sports previously?
It was.
Okay. And that's
I think the latitude that TNT has given them, the more NBC very buttoned up.
Yes.
TNT very much more having a good time with it. I think that panel's great. I mean, every one of those guys is fantastic.
Yeah.
Liam McHugh is probably my favorite. He's probably one of my favorite hosts in the league. I just think he does a great job and he manages it well. Biz's character is just fantastic. I mean, it's awesome. Army does a great job. Gretzky's there. Hank, handsome as ever, is always there. So It's they're doing a good job. It's fun to watch. I really truthfully enjoyed TNT's coverage more than anybody's.
Yeah, it felt like they got it right.
They
like
did.
For a lot of, you see these big, the NHL, the MLB, any, big sport, big league, they somehow find a way to mess things up where you're like, how can you mess that up? Yeah. But then they do shit where you're like, they did that right. And it felt like that was one of the things they did right.
Yeah, so you could tell they're having fun. It goes back to what I said earlier, right? They're hanging out. That's a good group. You can tell they all like each other. You can tell there's no ego there, even when Gretzky's hanging out.
Yeah.
Everybody's just doing their thing, having a good time. And I think that's big. Really big.
100%.
So we do a segment every Wednesday called Fairway or 4.
Okay.
Pretty much an agree or disagree.
Okay.
I'll start with mine. So you probably fly a lot. You travel a lot.
Quite a bit.
I just flew to Phoenix this past week. We had an event down there, so I was down in Phoenix. And I'm normally always a window guy. I sat in the aisle because it was Southwest. I just found an aisle, sat there. I was like,
okay.
And I will never, ever sit in an aisle again. So basically, Fairway or 4 for me is the window seat the best seat on the plane?
4.
I agree.
Are you an aisle guy?
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. I mean, I was raised by Marines, so I'm a situational awareness guy. If God forbid anything were to happen on the plane, I would want to be in a position to help and assist however possible. So I feel like if I got to crawl over to people who are more unwilling, if I'm in that aisle seat, I can sort of maybe be a first responder, if you will.
See, that's a fucking great answer because he's about to come at me with, I have to piss a lot because I drink on the plane, so that's why I like
was going to say that.
And I'm bitching because the fucking flight attendant kept bonking my elbow. I was like, okay, well, this is a reason.
Buddy, I'm the guy. I'm one of the first ones on the plane, and I will literally look everybody in the eye when they're coming down the aisle, and I'm like, is that guy going to help me? Is that guy going to hurt me? Is that guy just going to get in the way?
That's incredible.
Like, who are you, buddy?
I'm like, will you let me order triples if I order 3 once? Will you let? I love drinking on the plane. If it's any time, like I draw a line somewhere, but generally, if I'm going anywhere for fun, I'm hitting the sauce right off. So that's why I prefer the aisle.
Yeah, I'm an aisle guy.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't need to crawl over. Nothing gives me more social anxiety than having to tap the person next to me and be like, "Hey, can I get out of here? I need to use the restroom." Like I can't. I just need to be able to move freely as I please. So okay. So my fairway or 4, hockey oriented. Is Matt Rempe going to bring back a fighting era of hockey?
Fairway.
I love that shit.
I think
the Empire State Building.
I think it needs to be. I think I am a big proponent of fighting in hockey. I think it polices the game. I think it makes guys accountable. I don't think it needs to go crazy.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an important aspect.
Totally.
Well, I think the part of it is that I see from as a casual fan is that there can be like the NHL's kind of moved into that skill fast, but there can be that, and then there can be dudes like Rempe that you stash at the end of your roster, the Curtis McDermotts, those guys, where they don't necessarily play the same game, but they do their own role. Like a pitcher doesn't hit well. A center dunks the ball, a point guard dribbles the ball, like very specific tasks for a team. Whereas hockey players, yes, forwards are in the front, defensemen are in the back. Cale Makar's changing the defensive game in general, but it gives guys roles.
Yeah.
And it's the most like that all-out brawl the other day, just dropped the gloves right when the puck dropped, was one of the most electric moments of the whole NHL regular season.
Yeah, and the fourth line's evolved. Used to be that was your bruiser checking line, right? And now teams are relying on their fourth line to contribute offensively and do stuff. So that's why fighting sort of moved away. You don't. I mean, listen, Darren McCarty, the likes of the Stu Grimsons, they score goals, but it's just different now.
Yeah, no, and I just want to see him make a comeback. Him and Revo drop I love the even when they do fight, you know, obviously they want to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah,
but they'll go like a lot of times. Sometimes there's bad blood, but not all the time. Like sometimes afterwards they'll be like, "Hey, good scrap." Like, you know, and that hockey players, there's just I feel like a mutual respect amongst each other in the league.
And that's what I like the most about.
Yeah.
I like the most about hockey. I like the handshake line. I like the respect. I love hockey hugs when they score a goal and come by the bench and give everybody a high five. I love that shit. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's why I love hockey. That's why I fall in love with that. And that's what I try to do in all aspects of my life. I try to be that energy inclusive.
Totally.
You're my guy. You call me, I'll come running.
Yep. Foxhole guy.
Well, we got another guy in our foxhole. Gizmo, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. Shout out to Blue Tees. We've got a giveaway coming out. So check our Instagram, follow Nick at Nick Gismondi, right?
Yep.
And then us at Big Drive Energy Pod. We'll be doing a little co-post giveaway here in the next couple of days for a Blue Tees pack. We also did one for the Masters giveaway. Nick hooked it up. Blue Tees hooked it up. So thank you to those guys. And we'll have you on again.
I would love that.
We'll have you on again, and we got to go play golf again because I want to fucking whoop his ass around Cherry Creek. I have the good vibes there.
Yeah.
And dude, this guy's like I mean, he is a celebrity, but he's also a celebrity there. Like I rolled up, and she's like, "You playing with Gizmo?" And I'm like, "Yep." And they just like let me through. So that's
name drop him.
When you have that infectious energy like you do, man, that people just gravitate to you. That's awesome. So we appreciate you joining us.
One of the big compliments I got yesterday. We have a very I won't mention his name as I'm not sure I'm allowed to, but we have a prominent member at our club, and I was there last night, and he was hanging out having dinner with his very lovely wife, and she introduced me to the other couple as the most popular member at the club, and she called me the mayor of the place, and I was just like, wow, that's from where I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a drink now. Made my day.
What are you drinking?
Thank
you got another one coming.
That's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Well, enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll be back on Monday with a winners recap episode. Thanks to Gizmo for joining us. Big Drive Energy out.
Peace.